Right, well, we'll go ahead and get started. As more and more people are coming in, just make sure. So before I get started, before I do anything, I just want to make sure people should know that as you're coming in, your microphone will be muted. So I will be the only person you will hear. But before I start anything, I just want to make sure that people can hear me. So if you can hear me, use the chat window and say, yes, I can hear you. Okay, I'm seeing, yes. All right, make sure. All right, great, confirmation. I'm seeing confirmation of all kinds here. So, all right, so now I can get started. So welcome everyone to Searching the Galveston Tribune. This is our second year doing this program. It is what it's going to be is it's going to be an instruction / introduction into one of our newspapers and also one of the many catalogs that we have here at Galveston and Texas History Center. It's our second year doing this. It's also our second year doing this on Zoom. It's part of our continued pandemic reality. Hopefully the next time we do this, we can do it in person, in which case we shall see how that works out. So, but we are where we are, and we do what we can. That's kind of been our story for the past year. We do what we can. So I am Kevin Kinney. I am an archivist at Galveston, the Texas History Center. Some of the names I'm seeing are people who have been to the Galveston, Texas History Center. But in case for those who have not been, we are on the 4th floor of Rosenberg Library in Galveston, Texas. So actually, before I do that, I want to do another confirmation because I am sharing my screen now. I just want to make sure that people can see my slides. So if you can, or if you cannot, just again, please let me know. Or just say yes, let's just do that. All right, searching the Galveston Tribune. Yes, yes, okay, great, all right. So now that it's sharing, let's get going. So just some basic, let me hide this. So just some basic housekeeping here. Again, we're doing this on Zoom. So the first thing, as I already mentioned, all microphones will be muted during this class. If you have any questions during this presentation, you will do what you just did to confirm sound and video. You'll use that chat box on the bottom of the Zoom window to send your question. In the chat window, you have the option to send your question either to me, or you can send it to the rest of the class so everyone can see it. There's a to drop-down menu where it says who can see your question, so on. But the text box, you can either click on it to select either me, Kevin Kinney, or everyone. So that is your option. If you want your face to be visible, you can click on Start Video on the bottom left of your Zoom to turn your camera on if that is your preference. If you have any concerns, any tech problems regarding Zoom or, again, audio or sound, you can contact the computer lab at 409-763-8854, extension 130, email computerlab@rosenberg-library.org, or you can also send your inquiry to the tech support, which is, I just want to make sure, IT support, that's the actual name. So, and they will do what they can to help you. I also want to let our participants know that this program is recording, and in fact, it is recording right now. to be made available at a later date. We will let you know when that is so. So just to mention, I'm saying all this just in case for those who have not been, we've been using Zoom for over a year now, but in case those who have not, now they know. So as I said, I am Kevin Kinney. I have been an archivist. I've been here for over 4 years now. And so I've my second year doing this. And it's a program that is our way of just showing what we've been doing. And part of in this particular program is a stipulation of a grant that we receive, which even allows us to have our Galveston Tribune or the copies we have of the Galveston Tribune available online. Another stipulation of that is a survey that we would like for people to fill out when this class is over with. There will be a link in the chat window at the end. You will also receive the link to complete the survey via email. Feedback is a form of feedback, which is very important, feedback of all kinds. So we would just really appreciate it if you do that. So Galveston, Texas History Center, we are a part of the Rosenberg Library. Specifically, we are a part of the Special Collections Department of the Rosenberg Library, located on the 4th floor. The other part of the department is the museum. The Galveston Texas History Center, we are the archives and the local history center. We collect, preserve, and organize archival materials like papers and photographs and journals, even just print documents that document the history of Galveston and Texas, focusing on Galveston from its incorporation in 1839 to present day, as well as history of Texas from the Spanish colonial period to the end of the Civil War, Juneteenth. Our collections consist, as I said, from rare books, manuscripts, maps, architectural drawings, ephemera, vertical files, and also increasingly digital media, such as digital photos, emails, and so on, as well as oral histories. And just as a brief detour, I want to highlight one initiative that we've been doing for about a year now. It's called History Now. We are collecting testimonies from people during this pandemic, because years from now, or perhaps even months from now, people are going to want to know just what the experience was like during, before, during, and even right after the COVID-19 pandemic. So if you have any questions about that, you can email us. There should be a form that you can get started. It's just asking basic questions like, again, how and when did you learn about the coronavirus, and so on. And it's also available in Spanish for those who speak Spanish or prefer it so. So let me just get back to here we go. So, and with that, let's get right to it. So this is the Galveston Tribune. What is this? The Galveston Tribune was an evening newspaper in Galveston. It ran from 1880 to 1963, when it was eventually merged into the other major paper, the Galveston Daily News, which of course still runs today. The thing about the Tribune was that it ran 6 days a week, Monday through Saturday. There was no issuing on Sunday. It's more social than, I would say, than the Galveston Daily News. And what I mean by that is it covered a lot of local events. It covered a lot of tourist attractions. It covered business. And what made it especially special, so to speak, was that during the time that it had started, Galveston was just a massive city. I mean, we're talking about just in terms of this place in history, the present day. I mean, and especially I want to highlight the port. It was the port, it was the stage of, it was the Texas Navy's port during the Revolution. It was the scene of the Battle of Galveston during the Civil War. And even after all of that, so much of Galveston's financial, economic, business strength came through the port. Everything from cotton to sugar, grain, bananas, and so on came through the port. Parallel to that was also immigration. Galveston was known as the Ellis Island of the West. And so you had immigrants coming in from all over Europe, specifically Germany, specifically, Switzerland, like for example, Switzerland, just like the namesake of this library, Henry Rosenberg, he's a Swiss immigrant. So people were pouring in. It was a scene for tourists. It was a scene for just, it was the place. And so it was the place to be. And especially from 1870 leading up to the 1890s, it was just, anybody who was anybody wanted to come here. So, and the Galveston Tribune highlighted much of that, especially so in terms of just its continued development. During that time, the Tribune highlighted that just as well as the Daily News. And the fact that the Tribune would often run stories or publish facts that sometimes the Daily News didn't run. For example, obituaries. So if for those who are doing genealogy and they want to pinpoint when a particular person died, if you didn't find it in the Daily News, you can find it in the Tribune, possibly. So what we like about, certainly what I like about the Tribune is that it offers another option, so to speak. So it is one of the many newspapers that we have at GTHC. And I just want to highlight, this is a page on our website. Actually, before I do that, I just want to introduce people to our website, because I want people to know that it's separate from Rosenberg Library's website. This is Rosenberg Library's website here, rosenberg-library.org. But to get to our website, you can do it one of two ways. You could either go here for our patrons, underneath that, History Center and Museum, and their History Center, and that will take you there. Or you can just click here and say galvestonhistorycenter.org. So that'll just take you straight to us. You can see our lovely website here. The archives catalog, news and events, planning, digitized collections, and so on. One of those digitized or collections in the process of being digitized is our newspapers. And so, and these newspapers run, I mentioned, especially in the 19th century. The thing about Galveston was that, among other things, it was also a bit of a newspaper graveyard. So many newspapers came and went during the same time that the Tribune was running. And in fact, the Tribune started off as the print. But there are also papers like the Galveston Commercial Reporter, just naming one off the top of my head. So anyway, the Tribune is one of the many papers that we have available, so to speak, at Galveston History Center. I say so to speak because up until recently, there was very select availability via another major database that we've got called Newspaper Archive. I think it was like very select leading up to its end. And when I say select, it was just some years were available, and even within those years, some issues were available. And also the issue was that some of those issues are not exactly legible. So a few years ago, the Tribune digitization project began when we received a grant to digitize 23,000 pages of the Tribune. And those pages covered 1887 to 1904. And we sent that to the University of North Texas in Denton for them to digitize and put on their catalog, their major big catalog called the Portal to Texas History. It was a grant from the U.S. Institute of Museum and Library Sciences, and also the Texas State Library and Archives Commission. So 1887 to 1904, that covers, like I said, you know, a nice big swath of history of Galveston, including, of course, the 1900 storm. So, and the Portal to Texas History is this lovely thing right here. Let's just click on that. Here we go. Portal to Texas History, texashistory.unt.edu. It is one of the many resources that we have available. I said it's a database, but it's, and it kind of is, but it's also a bit of a catalog. It is the gateway to rare historical and primary source materials, anything to do with Texas. UNT, University of North Texas, runs it. It collaborates with partners all across the state, including us, to digitize and make their stuff available for people who don't live in Texas. So that's just one lovely example here. I want to highlight that it is free. You do not need to use a library card. There's no subscription necessary. Just wanted I'd like to highlight that. I mentioned, and we are a partner with the Portal to Texas History. And because of that, we have our own page. So let's go here. But before I do that, just want to pause and just make sure there are any questions here. Okay, looks like we've got one question here, and the question is, do we have a handout for this presentation? I will be sending these slides when this is over to our participants. So especially because some people just came in for the past few minutes. So yes, these slides will be made available. With that. Let's just get back here. So the Portal to Texas History, I just want to show just kind of the power of what this is. There are two ways to get to our page, Galveston Texas History Center, Rosenberg Library. You can either click it from those slides I just clicked, but there's also a, frankly, quicker way. You go down here on the main page, texashistory.unt.edu. Click down here where it says Explore By, little arrow here, Explore By Partner. Explore By Partner. Go over to the G in the alphabet, Galveston and Texas History Center, Rosenberg Library. It helps that we're one of the first results near the top. Click, and here we are. So this is where the Galveston Tribune issues have been digitized and they are housed. And so that's one of the items that we have here. We've got some other items though that have also been digitized. For example, we have other newspapers. So the Tribune was included as part of a larger project of newspapers that we are sending out, that we have sent out to be digitized. So let's just click here, Galveston area newspaper collection. We've got other issues such as the daily print. That's a paper that covers activities in the port, kind of like what the Tribune does, but with more details. We have just actually sent this out earlier this year, and we're hoping to have more issues made available through the summer. So, and just to reiterate that this, we sent a batch 1887 to 1904 a couple of years ago. That's been digitized. We recently sent another batch from 1905 to 1921. And that's what's exciting about that, is that covers a broader span of history. Obviously, it covers everything from the Seawall to the Causeway to the First World War to the 1918 flu, so on. But the ninth, let's go back here. But the Tribune is just one example of other materials that we've got here. I also want to just make a brief shout out to our city directories, people who are doing their genealogical research. The city directories here, they are a very, very valuable, very powerful tool for your research. They're basically like the white pages of today. They cover basically who lived here, when, where, and what they did. A little bit more granular than, say, US Census records, which of course run only every 10 years. So just another example of what else we've got in our portal. So let me go back to my slides here. We also have a collection called the Kempner Papers, which covers the papers of a powerful family here, the Kempners. All right, so that's the portal to Texas history. So now the question becomes, how do you use it? What can you do with it? So what's nice is that they have the search bar, so you can do it either through the home page and you can start your searching this way, or you can go to our page. Let me move this. Or you can go to our page and you can do the little search right here. And what this will do, if you search into our portal within the portal, so to speak, you have to click down here, search this part, where it says search this partner. And you can do your search that way. And you can do your searching either through a basic keyword search. So just put in a particular word. So if you were looking up, say, the 1900 storm, you can just do 1900 storm, click or press enter, or press search. It will give you 106,946 matching results. So as you can see here. Now, if you wanted to filter that, there are these assets along the left here. You can filter it by the partners that have items dealing with the storm digitized. So everybody from UNT, libraries, Abilene Consortium. The Abilene Library Consortium has a lot of other papers that I've used. So just wanted to pinpoint that. But this is a lot, as you can see, it's a lot of just different institutions within even just Texas. I mean, just look at here. You've got universities, you've got public libraries, you've got museums even that have offered their items to be digitized, all dealing with the 1900 storm. So, and I'm trying to see if I can even find us. I'm not seeing that, but just let you know. Here we go, Rosenberg Library. So you can filter it that way through us. You can also filter it by collections and collections. It's the name of particular collections, but honestly, if you're doing a search, if anybody's just doing a search, they're probably not going to filter it by, say, partners or their collections. But they're more likely to filter it by, say, resource type. So if you're looking for, say, a newspaper article on the storm, you click on resource types here in the filter, and you see newspapers, you see journals, magazines, books, reports, so on and so on. So all different digitized items. And if you even know what the newspaper is, you get the title here, click on serial series titles, Baytown Sun, Houston Post, Galveston Daily News, our other major paper. So we have this here along the left, and you can also filter it by time, decade, year, month, date, language, so on and so on. You'll be using, as you get more familiar and as you do more searching, you'll be making a lot of use, I think, of these filters along the left. But if you also want to make your searching a little bit easier, to narrow it down from this big number, 106, almost 107,000, you can do what's called, so this is a keyword search, you can do what is called a phrase search. And a phrase search, it's to do that, you just put in whatever you're searching for, your phrase, and quotes. And what it will do is it will search for any instance of everything between those quotes. So which is called the phrase. So when we do that, let's see what happens, search. And as you can see, the number of results shrinks to 598. I have to be honest, I wonder if that's, seems there should be more. But that's a phrase search. So if you really want to narrow down your searching, and this is not just for the portal, this is for any search engine. It's everything from Google to Google, Yahoo, other library catalogs. So if you just do, say, 1900 storm through a phrase search, you get a much narrower results. And what it does is it looks for any instance in those quotes. Now, something else you can do, another search tool, is you can click over here where it says look in full text. And what it does is it literally searches for an instance of 1900 storm within the full text of all the items that are searched in. You can also search by title. So you can do that. You can also search by subject. So anything having to do with the storm, creators, names, it runs the gamut. You can also sort options. So you can search it by the title name, the creator, when it was created, or when it was added. They created is probably might be a little bit more useful. So let me just do a quick check-in here to see if we have any more questions. Okay. Oh, here's a good one. Just as an aside, what years did the city directory span? They span 1859 to 1919. So just want to make sure that knows there are issues for almost every year. There's a gap during the Civil War, but it's more or less complete from that up to 1919. And these are directories that we have digitized. So just want to make sure that's clear. Everything after that, it's not yet digitized, but we've got city directories to present day. So just want to make sure that's available. Let me get back to my, let me get back to my slides. So just as an example of search tools that I did, there's also Explorer tools, and I sort of kind of touched on that, but just want to reiterate, as you're again exploring this page, you click here to explore by collection partner. The Tribune happens to be a part of, if I can find it here, Texas Digital, here we go, digital newspaper program. And you can also search, and it's a collection of items that, again, similar to a partners page, but this is a collections page, and you can search across this way. Just want to make sure that doing right. And again, you can see all these different libraries, including us, take a part of this. And again, that's another way. So you see the daily print, you see the Evening Tribune. By the way, the Evening Tribune is an earlier title of the Galveston Tribune. So as you're exploring this, if you see Evening Tribune, just know that is the same as Galveston Tribune. So I think it changed its name like around 18, I mean, not long after it started printing. So, but that's another way. And also, if you want to do more exploring, you can also click on the page here, Explore Overview, different partners. You know, this is just, if you just even want to just kind of play around with it or explore, you can do that. So you can explore by collections, partners, locations, subjects you see all these different subject headings here from architecture and so on, and this runs alphabetically. So there you go. So popular topics. So, you know, it's such a very powerful resource that the portal is, and it's a very powerful, and it allows us to really go deep into a particular topic that you might be interested in. What I can say is that here at the Galveston, Texas History Center, the most popular topics that people want to research from all over, whether it's within Galveston, within Texas, even across the world, because we get reference requests from all over the country, even sometimes all over the world. And yet the most popular topics are the 1900 storm. They are genealogy, they are house history. We just concluded a historic homes tour, not us, Rosenberg Library, but the historic homes tour done by the Galveston Historical Foundation. They just concluded that, so kind of misspoke there. We also have people, we've gotten more and more inquiries into African-American histories, which we are very happy about. We're always excited when we get inquiries or even donations dealing with Black history, especially with Juneteenth coming up. So back to the storm. Yeah. And since I mentioned the 1900 storm, I feel obligated to mention that on our website, we have a whole page for people who want to do their research from wherever they are into the storm. You go to our page, you click under research topics here, 1900 storm. So it's got everything from photographs, manuscripts, transcripts of oral histories, the big giant map that charts the damage, and a list of recorded deaths that as complete as we can make it. About 6,000 to close to 10,000 died. So it's photographs by topic. So just a brief shout out to our 1900 storm researchers. Back to the Tribune. The date, September 8th, 1900. So the issues of the Galveston Tribune are digitized and they are searchable by date, and they are searchable by full text. So you can also go, if you happen to know a date of a particular issue, you can search it that way. Here's an example of the September 8th, 1900 issue, which covers the storm. So when you're doing your research into the Tribune, this is how it's going to look. September 8th, 1900, it's got the title here. It's got the Galveston, all the description information here, and some other materials. And it also has the digitized pages, 1, 2, 3, 4 of 8. That's another thing that I liked about the Tribune, is that it's only, with one exception that I'm aware of, it's 8 pages at most. It started off as 4, then it became 8. and then but it's pretty easy to get through. Here's some more information about title, description, subjects. Again, if you want to explore by subject, you can do it this way. Or the Galveston News Collection, Tribune, digital newspaper, so on. But the main thing that you might want to do is that you just want to see the paper itself, in which case you can just click on the issue here. So Galveston Tribune, wind and wave from storms from shore and sea. This ran just as the storm was bearing down, I do believe. So this is the first page. To get to the second page, you click here on this arrow here. Page 1, page 2, 3, and so on. So, and as you're exploring each page, you can search within this page. So I see here, and just to prove, by the way, that it searches within the page, let me just put a word in here. So I see cycling, just want to make sure. And click here, there you have it. So if you put in a word here on this bar to the left, it will search within the page each instant, and every instant will be highlighted like so. So bit of real-time searching there. Get back to the page. You can search within the page. You can also zoom in, which is actually something that you'll be doing a lot, I can tell you, because the Tribune, especially the issues that are available, and this also applies to the Galveston Daily News, which is also available sort of kind of a different time period. The print is small. So you'll be needing to do a lot of zooming in here. And fortunately, UNT is very good. They digitize very high quality. So there has been, as far as I know, there has been no instance of pixelated text or text cut off, so on. So you'll be using the zoom option a lot. You go here to this bar on the top left, click and hold. You scroll up to zoom in, scroll down to zoom out. That's the zoom tool. So you click here to zoom. If you wanted to download an image of the paper, you can also do that. Click on tools to download. You can download as a thumbnail, small, medium, large. If you want to crop, you can do that as well. This will take you to a new page. Over here to where it says crop. Click and drag, draw a rectangle. I'm just going to crop out this image here. Save it, and you can save it, either download it to your computer. That's what's going to look like here, or you can just open it up into a new window. You have the option there. This is for if you want to clip articles, if you want to crop articles, if you want to crop obituaries, photos, what have you. This is your option here. You can also rotate if you'd like to do that. Brightness, contrast, so on and so on. So here. And to get back to the description page of an issue, you just click where it says view a full description. I did that fast. So click where it says view a full description of this newspaper. It takes you back to an issues page. So showing 1 to 4. If you want to see all the thumbnails, you just click there and it'll show you all the different issues. So back here. So that's September 8th, 1900, the day of the storm. This here is September 11th, 1900. I should point out September 8th was a Saturday of the storm. There was no issue that ran on Sunday, as I mentioned. The next available issue was this particular page here, a pretty powerful, probably the most powerful issue of this period, the day right after the storm. So let's zoom in, and you can see here, Galveston Tribune, September 11th, 1900. That's a date that's got resonance in another context. And it's just describing the scene, so to speak, of the 1900 storm. Order is gradually being wrought out of chaos, just describing what's going on, the type of the repair and relief going on, assistance coming from all over the world, coming from Houston, coming from elsewhere in the state, elsewhere in the country. Estimates of loss are totally worthless. They actually didn't even begin to try, the Tribune did not begin to try estimating the number of people dead until the next issue, September 12th. So, and I mentioned that the Tribune ran for 4 to 8 pages, but obviously this is an exception because this only ran for 2. This is page 1. This is page 2, just the back of it. So there you have it. So just pause and do another quick check here. Do I have any questions? Again, if I do, then just send them in and I'll read them as we go on. I don't see any at the moment, so I will proceed. As you are doing your searching within the Tribune, for whatever topic, whether it's the storm, the obituaries, and so on, and especially African-American history, you also want to be mindful of the language that you're using. You may have to use language that seems pretty clunky today, or maybe even slightly, well, or just actually is quite archaic. So, for example, if you are looking for an obituary, for example, you probably should know that during the time, early 20th, late 19th century, they weren't necessarily called obituaries. I have seen instances called necrological, which I believe is a callback to necrology, which is basically the study of obituaries. Also, mortuary report, and I'll just give an example of what I'm talking about here. Let's say you're looking for an individual who you think died during this period. I'm going to put in Sarah Carroll. And I'm going to use a phrase search because if I do just a simple keyword search, it's just going to give me a bunch of instances of Sarah and a whole bunch of instances of Carol and some instances of Sarah Carroll, but it's going to give me like probably a billion different instances. So I'll use a phrase search here. Sarah Carroll in quotes, search. 131 matching results. I'm going to go here to filter it. Filter it by what's the newspaper. So, and I'm pretty sure that it ran in the Galveston Tribune. Here we go, right here, Tribune. This is how the result's going to look. Click here. Come on. And what I like about what the portal does is that if there's an instance in your result, it's going to alert you right here. I mean, you probably noticed the little shake thing that it did. So it lets you know, yes, there is a result in this issue of the Tribune of your query. And in my case, the name is Sarah Carroll. So I'm going to click on this green box here, search inside. It's going to take me to the search results, and I can just click right here to that. So, and as I mentioned, it's going to be right here, highlighted, Sarah Carroll. So let me click on, well, let me zoom in, I should say. Zoom into the highlighted portion. There we go. Miss Sarah Carroll and highlighted. And as I mentioned here, it's called necrological. I've seen other obituaries called like just obituary, just mortuary or mortuary report, necrological. So I just want to make this known if you want to do like an obituary search, because that's one of the most common genealogical requests that we get. Just know that it's probably not necessarily going to be called obituary. You kind of have to play around with the language. So you may also use, in addition to your name, when did the funeral happen? Or what date did it happen? You can search by date as well. So either the date, usually, but I would say within a day or two, like literally 1 or 2 days after the date of death, if you know it. You can also search by date. So while I'm here, speaking of archaic language, if you are doing, say, African-American history research, you also should probably know that the language back then was not, of course, African-American or even Black, but Negro or color, Negro or colored. And so on that same issue of that I found Sarah Carroll's death notice, you see the story here about, well, an African-American or a Negro who basically sounds like he's defending his mother here. So just kind of a bit of a side note there to help you with your research, that you do have to just be mindful of your terms. So it just goes towards, again, the exploration of this, of the portal, of the Tribune, and so on. So other topics that are covered. So just going, just kind of backing up here. So obviously there's the storm, there's Black history, and so on, but there's other topics that the Tribune covers, that the Tribune has, that is available right now on the portal. There is, for example, the opening of Rosenberg Library, which opened in June of 1904 here. So this is just a clipping here of the opening. This is actually comes from the day after, so which was June 23rd, 1904. Magnificent gift to Galveston was formally opened last night. So there's also other kinds of businesses and business advertisements, everything from steamship lines, their schedule. So I mentioned so much activity that happened in the port. The Tribune was the source of stuff that came in, stuff that was going out, who arrived, who was leaving, arrival times, arrivals, departures, ships that are docked at the port. It was in a section called Maritime Matters. As time went on, the title kind of changed. It was called Marine Log, Vessel Report, what have you. So railroad companies, you needed railroads to ship all of the materials that came in inside Texas. Their schedules were in the Tribune, streetcar, mail, so on. It also covers the Great Fire of 1885, and which is really interesting because this was not available in the Tribune on the day when I did this last year, but it is now. So let's just go to that issue. So the fire happened November 13th, 1885. This is the issue right after that. So let's just go to that. Just the same thing that I did with the 1900 storm. Click on it, Tribune, zoom in. As I was preparing this, I wanted to see what other major disasters were covered besides the 1900 storm. Well, here's the fire. During and after, most destructive fires ever known. And this diagram here of what was just the damage wrought, so to speak. And also, in addition to that about the storm, this is what I was just talking about here. You see all these different ads and locations. You see the steamers and the vessels that use the port to do their business. Texas Mexican Railroad, so on and so on. So just an example here. Oh, look, also amusements, Tremont Opera House, just advertising performances also, one ad. This is all on the first page, which does not happen though. You do not see all of these different, basically one ads and so on the first page, but you know, things evolve, obviously. See how cool that is? Evening Tribune. So that's 1914. We actually recently, just the History Center did not really a program, but we had an individual come in to perform a piece that commemorated the storm. So if you wanted to explore that, it's just on our website, The Great Galveston Fire, 1885, November 13th. So there's also the Seawall, July 30th, 1904. The Tribune was documented the development of the seawall after the storm. So I mentioned that it covered activities leading up to the storm, so all the fun, the glitz and the glamour, but it also covered, of course, the recovery, and the seawall was a very powerful example of that, and it began in earnest in 1904. So if you want to chart that, you can. So 1904, July 30th. Then you also have the Great Raising, the other major venture, post-storm recovery venture. There's also the Causeway, but that didn't begin until 1909. But that's, as issues continue to be uploaded, you will have that option. So here's some other clippings here. This about the schooner Livonia Perkins. This is something that happened after the 1886 hurricane, so which obviously was a huge problem. And in fact, it was such a problem that actually wiped out a city called Indianola. So that was quite disastrous. Again, this clipping about the fire, 1885 fire. This clipping here about the death of our namesake, Henry Rosenberg, which we actually just had the anniversary earlier this week of his death. And he was a huge banker, and one of his many gifts to the city was, of course, our library. So if you want to look up Henry Rosenberg, you can look Henry Rosenberg, Frank Patton, the first librarian of Rosenberg Library, Henry Cohen. He was a prominent rabbi who helped, among other things, with immigration of Jews to Galveston. E.R. Cheeseborough, who was the secretary of the Great Raising. So you can look up famous Galvestonians. You can also look up everything from lighthouses to shipwrecks, steam dredger, Texas, amusement parks, recreation, electric park, beachfront. Just giving an example of other topics you can cover with the Tribune. So, and those are the topics that are covered now on the portal. Topics to come, I just mentioned the seawall, the Great Raising, the Causeway, the storm of 1909, 15, the flu. These are topics, so the batch of papers that we are having digitized right now and will be uploaded through the summer will cover all of these different times, these different events. So the Free State of Galveston, that's a reference to its Prohibition era reputation. So with that is actually the end of my slide presentation. So do we have any questions here? Questions, or perhaps what I think would be even better is, does anybody have a particular query that they will like for me to demonstrate in real time. So I already did the 1900 storm. I did an obituary. What other topic or person even would they like to have searched? Okay, I'm taking questions now. Are the city directories the best way to find who lived in your house? They are a very powerful resource. Yes, like I said, the directories, they cover who live in a particular residence, when and where. I think with the directories is, I mentioned about the language you have to use. You should know that obviously street names have like alternate titles, like for example, Sealy and Avenue I. So it's just so it's 2310 Sealy, 2310 Avenue I, the address of this library. So, and also I should also mention you can do a search if you're trying to find out who lived in your house during a particular time. You're not able to really search by the address until the mid 1900s. So it's a little bit tricky if you're trying to search, like say in the 1880s. So just to mention that. Let's see. Researcher for League City Historical Society. Do we have general files? Well, we actually have a page. Let me just go to that right now. Hold on here. So let me share my screen again. For people, it was in the slides, but I kind of went through it. So if you go to our page here, galvestonhistorycenter.org, you click on research topics, and I'm where it's 1900 storm is. Go down here where it says genealogy. This is our genealogy resource page, and it lists everything that we have available, and it goes by topic. So if you want to look up census records, you go to census records, tax records, birth, death, marriage, school. Probably the most common inquiry that we get, or one of the most common, is immigration records. So you click down here to where it says passenger lists, and it'll take you to our books, our passenger list books. It also takes you to some microfilm, so on. So database of who came in here, which is actually operated by GHF, but we have a link through that genealogy page. So anybody who wants to do genealogy research, you can just do that through our page, do that through newspapers. And the link to the Texas history, the portal of the Texas history, is also included on that genealogy guide. By the way, I mentioned earlier newspaper archive, which is our other valuable resource. This is available at the library. It is also available if you have a library card with us. It is available from home. So this is usually if you wanted to do research with the Galveston Daily News, especially. Like I said, the Tribune is not terribly represented. In fact, as you can see, just 22 years available. And I happen to know that those years within the years are not, you're not going to find every single issue within a year necessarily. So, but it's good for other papers like the Daily News. Where is it? That's this, by the way, this is what I was talking about earlier when I say about so many papers coming and going. All these different titles long gone. Galveston Daily News right here. So if you wanted to do a daily news searching, you can do that through newspaper archives. So this is for people who would like to do that. All right, so information about High Island. Okay, I'll do that, but I'm seeing some other people. Oh yes, great. House history, that's another common resource. And all of that is available, again, under research topics, house history. So same place where the 1900 storm and genealogy page is. So I am interested in researching African-American churches in Galveston. Well, that is also under research topics. So let me go there because that's a topic of great interest to me. So let's just go back to the homepage, galvestonhistorycentral.org. Research topics, Black Galveston. And this is just our page for anybody who's interested in African-American history. But so that's one option of doing that. I think another option is if you know the name of the church, you can do a phrase search of that church. Just going back here in the portal here. So let's see. I happen to know one name. Let's just try Avenue L. L Baptist. A search here. Big church. So let's see. 142 matching results of Avenue L Baptist. Let me go. I know it's in Galveston, so I can see. I'm looking for titles dealing with Galveston. So counties, Galveston County. County is another filter, by the way. Galveston County, click here. Come on. Here we go. And now, as you can see, there is some results within the Tribune for Avenue L Baptist. So, see the little alert here. Let's see what this is like. Avenue L Baptist on page 4 of this issue, April 3rd, 1888. And let's see what this says here. So let's zoom in. I think I lost somebody, hold on. Okay, Avenue L Baptist right here, Republicans organizing, here is their GLP meeting here. So that's just an example. So if you know the name of the church that you wanted to search or different names, so that's like, it could be Avenue L Baptist, it could be Reedy Chapel, AME, St. Augustine. You could just do a phrase search of that way with the, and see in any instance of the church name will appear in the portal and the papers. So okay, apparently my screen wasn't shared, so that's interesting. Let me just do that again because I want people to actually see what I'm doing here. So I was searching for Avenue L Baptist. I went to the home page. I did a phrase search of Avenue L Baptist. Search. And I filtered it. The filter that I chose was by Galveston, was by counties, because I know Avenue L Baptist Church is in Galveston County, Texas. So click counties, Galveston County, 102 results. And this is where it took me. It took me to April 3rd, 1888. There was another issue here, March 24, 1887. I clicked on an issue. It took me to a result. I clicked. Positive. And there we go. There's our instance. There was a of Avenue L Baptist Church. This is a looks like it's about a meeting that took place at Avenue L. Churches obviously were very fertile. They made excellent meeting places, especially Black churches. So, all right. Just wanted to do that again because apparently my screen for some reason was not sharing. So just want to make sure you saw that. So, okay. And I'll just say that, phrase searching in general, especially because I see a question here, if somebody wants to look up a house or a corner store, if you know the name of the store or the name of the house, do that as a phrase search, and that'll just make your searching a whole lot easier. So somebody wants to look up High Island. So, well, let's do that then. All right, High Island. So High Island, that's the name of a city. So we're going to do a phrase search of a city. So let's do quote High Island. Search. And I think, especially with the names of churches, businesses, houses, cities, and so on, the filter that obviously makes the most sense would be over here, world regions, countries, states, counties. So, but even without filtering, I see here an image of a map of High Island. So that. So you can narrow it down here to Galveston County. But for the purposes of this class, let's see is there an instance of High Island in the Galveston or Evening Tribune? Let's see. And yes, there is. So you're in luck. Galveston Tribune. So like I just said, for Avenue L, these are the results of High Island as a phrase and all the different issues of the Galveston Tribune. I'm just going to pick one here. So actually, let me see, because I'm curious myself if there is. Happened during the storm here. You go to sort options. Created. This helps me put it in order here because I'm seeing different titles. You can see here 1894, the earliest instance, all the way up to whatever the latest is. If you want to see a particular year of your result, you go over here to your filter, years. So let's see, if I wanted to look up something on High Island, 1900, you click on 1900 here, January 8th, 9th, and so on. I'm wondering if is there any information about it during the time of the storm. September 17, 1900. Let's see what the result says about High Island in 1900, September 17. Hotel building standing at High Island, page 1. Okay. Here we go, on Bolivar Peninsula. The hotel building is standing at High Island, and there are a few other buildings left. So obviously talking about the aftermath of the 1900 storm on Bolivar Peninsula, but that's just an example. So yeah, so I would recommend for cities and the names of localities and corporate bodies, even like businesses and so on, the phrase search is your best bet for seeing if they appear in the Tribune. So I hope that answers your question. Any more? Let's see. Actually, corner house. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do one more demonstration here. let's see, a corner store. I'm blanking on one right now, but if I wanted to look up, say, just Rosenberg Library and see if that appears in the Tribune. So let's do a free search for Rosenberg Library. Search. $21,338 matching results. That's a lot. So serial series titles. Let's see, does this appear in the Tribune? So there are 179 results or 179 titles represented. Here we go, Galveston Tribune. Also Evening Tribune, just remember they are the same. Galveston Tribune, and it gives me, again, different dates and titles. So 1906. So just another example there. What I can say is that as of today, or even as of a couple of days ago, let me get back to our page here. The Galveston Tribune is issues of the Galveston Tribune that have been digitized and are available at Rosenberg Library, on our page, Rosenberg Library, span 1885, specifically April 13, 1885, to Halloween, 1906. So October 31st, 1906. Most of the years, I say most because you click over here where it says years, 1905 is not, they've not yet uploaded it, but it's being scanned as we speak. So, but as you see all these different years, 1885, all the way up to 1906. And as I mentioned earlier, future years will also be uploaded and scanned and uploaded as made available. It will be going up to 1921 and perhaps even beyond that. So you have a real nice span of time here. So if you want to look up what happened at High Island, if you want to look up at what happened at a particular church, you know, you can, you have the time that is available now is from 1885 up to 1906. So it's a nice span of time there. So, all right, I'm looking to see if I have any more questions. Not at the moment. Okay. Let's get back to my slides here. Questions. All right. Especially because I know some people came in right in the middle of all of this. So if I don't have any questions, well, then that is going to do it for me. So thank you for joining. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for, as we explore this wonderful paper and this, you know, wonderful portal that we have it on. This was search in the Galveston Tribune at Rosenberg Library. This is our address here in case you don't know. If you have any questions, you can send an email to gthc@rosenberg-library.org, or you can call me directly at 409-763-8854, extension 126. I probably should have mentioned this earlier, but we are open Tuesday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. appointment only. That was our one of our COVID-19 measures, is that we're open by appointment. So if you wanted to come in to to do genealogical research, to do house history and so on, you can call or email us and we can get started on that. And the way it works is that we will need to know what you would like to see in advance, and we can have that pulled for you. So that's how that works. So again, open 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Tuesday through Saturday. And for one last time, please complete the survey. The link should be, there it is. So it should be, you should also be getting it via email, but it's in the chat window right now. So please fill that as soon as you can. We need that. The people who are uh, uh, the grant that we got to scam all of these, you know, they like the feedback from the survey, and well, and actually they will like the programming. So with that, that does it for me. Thank you for joining me, and have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye.